What is up, though, Lions fans? It's your boy Chef, and you already know what time it is. It is time for the YAK Pod episode number 87. Guys, let me know if you can hear me. Let me know what the audio is like. Is there an echo? Yesterday there was an echo apparently, so I want to make sure that there is nothing going on today. All good. All right. Appreciate you, John F. and Lord. Appreciate everybody in the chat. Mile Marker, John F. and Lord. It is nice to see you guys once again. Now, yesterday we were talking about PFF and their inability to make lists that make any actual sense. Let's start off with some good things before we go in on all the hilarity that will ensue when we talk about things like Dak Prescott being the number one quarterback in the NFC, not the NFC East, the NFC. Even though I don't believe that he is the number one quarterback in the NFC East in his own division. Apparently, according to PFF, he is the number one quarterback in the NFC. But we are going to get to all of the quarterbacks. That's right. We're going to talk about PFF's not just NFC, not AFC, but NFL quarterback rankings. Now, the way that they broke this thing up about the quarterbacks is in tears. And I have to tell you, I was in tears, laughing at this list. And they give explanations. It's the same guy. It's Trevor Sikkema. He gives explanations as to how he got to where he got to. And I think the biggest thing is about your quarterback rating while under pressure. If you can perform better than other quarterbacks under pressure based on numbers, it makes you a better quarterback than the next man. That's what we can boil it all down to, because other than that, it doesn't make any actual sense. It doesn't make sense to put Dak Prescott above Brock Purdy and Jordan Love, two quarterbacks that when facing him head-to-head, beat him. It also doesn't make sense to put Jared Goff behind Dak Prescott, who is another quarterback that beat him when facing him head-to-head. Now, this was obviously the NFL and Brad Allen stealing the game away from the Detroit Lions. And I say the NFL because the NFL allowed him to double down, and they threw their support behind Brad Allen and the referees that made that tremendously wrong and ill-informed decision to take the touchdown away from the Detroit Lions, because Taylor Decker did report. Taylor Decker reported. We already know that. But let's talk about just a couple of other things first. The running back list. Now, there are some things that I didn't understand. Like Bijan Robinson being number 5 and Jahmyr Gibbs being number 9. And you'll say that Bijan Robinson was number 5 because he didn't burst on the scene like everyone thought he would, being the number 8 overall pick, but his immense, tremendous talent is very visible. And then right behind him at number 6 was Saquon Barkley. Bro, Saquon Barkley has been very disappointing. Now, he's been behind the Giants offensive line. We'll see what he does in Philadelphia. Obviously, I believe he's going to have a bounce back year, just like DeAndre Swift did when he went to Philadelphia. And he was running behind that offensive line, which has lost Jason Kelce. Jason Kelce was the engine that made that thing go. Jason Kelce was the quarterback of the offensive line. The center is very, very important. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that offensive line fares now that Jason Kelce is no longer there. It's going to be very interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how that tush-push works. It's going to be interesting to see because he was the man in the middle, the captain of the entire offensive line. But I believe that Saquon Barkley stands to not only have a better offensive line, but to face softer boxes because you've got A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith on the outside. In New York, he had nobody A and nobody B on the outside, taking away any softness of the boxes that could have been there. No, because you didn't have to account for anyone except for Saquon Barkley when Saquon Barkley was healthy. Saquon Barkley has missed a lot of games due to injury, but that's okay. He's still number 6, apparently, according to PFF. That's fine. But as I said, Jahmyr Gibbs, who also didn't burst onto the scene and also has immense talent, who also was a rookie, but no, he apparently had tremendous pressure on his shoulders when he came into the league as the number 12 pick. How did he have more pressure on him than Bijan Robinson, who was picked 4 spots before him? I don't understand PFF. I don't understand. Now, the guy that made the quarterback list, Trevor Sikkema, is going to be on the heavies tomorrow. Shout out Woodward Heavyweights. They will have him on there explaining himself. And if you do not know when the heavyweights come on, they come on from 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. So they go off 1 hour before I come on. I just don't like I said, he gives his breakdowns, but some of the things just don't make any sense. I don't know who did the running back list, so I can't say that it was him. But if I go and look at who wrote the article, then I can tell you who it was. I don't think it was Trevor Sikkema. Now, Texans versus Lions Super Bowl, Brandon Hallam. Maybe it's possible. The Texans, I believe, are going to surprise some people. And what do I mean by surprise some people? I don't mean surprise them in a good way. I mean surprise them in a bad way. Just because of one player. The Bills got better addition by subtraction when this player left the team. And I think subtraction by addition will happen with the Texans. The problem with the Texans is that they have C.J. Stroud, who is very young quarterback. This is going to be his second year. And now he's got this cancerous diva in Stephon Diggs begging him for the ball. The Texans just a few hours ago extended Nico Collins. So Nico Collins is going to be there going forward. And Stephon Diggs is going to come in wanting the football. The only way that Stephon Diggs is different is if he's self-aware enough to understand he didn't work out in Minnesota. He didn't work out in Buffalo. And the problem was him. The problem wasn't the quarterbacks. Kirk Cousins is thought of highly around the league. Look at how much money he's made. Now, I know that's largely in part due to his agent, but if he was terrible, he wouldn't be getting these guaranteed contracts. I mean, he just got $100 million guaranteed. For goodness sakes. $100 million guaranteed off of an Achilles tear. Again, for goodness sakes. Off of an Achilles tear. He will be 37 years old this year. And he's coming off of an Achilles tear, and he got $100 million. Now, obviously, they went in another direction that he had no idea that they were going in because they didn't let him know when they drafted Michael Penix Jr. But they still thought enough of him to give him $100 million guaranteed dollars. Guaranteed. That means he's getting $100 million, whether you like it or not. It is guaranteed. It will be there. It has to be there. It has to happen. That money's going to hit his account. Now, the only way that probably void those guarantees is injury, right? Because he just came off of a torn Achilles, as I just said. If that type of injury happens again, I have to believe that the Falcons have put in some sort of protection in that contract where he is not going to be able to tear another Achilles or have another lower body injury that can directly be attributed to having the Achilles tear, like overcompensation of the knee, things of this nature. We know all this stuff that happens to knees. I'm not going to speak that into existence, as they say. I'm not going to prey on anybody's downfall. I'm just saying, if there happens to be an injury, I'm pretty sure that the Falcons have given themselves an out in that contract. So Kirk Cousins wasn't the problem in Minnesota with Stephon Diggs, and I mean, Josh Allen damn sure wasn't the problem. Josh Allen plays like he plays like a man on fire or a man that's about to get fired. There's no in between with Josh Allen. But Josh Allen is a guy that probably 28 other teams, and I'm just throwing that out there, 28 other teams would probably jump at the opportunity to have Josh Allen. Right? Obviously, the Chiefs are happy with Mahomes. Obviously, the Ravens are happy with Lamar. The Eagles, are they happy with Jalen Hurts like that enough to not give up Jalen Hurts for Josh Allen? I don't know. That's a question that you would have to ask Howie Roseman and the Eagles front office. But I can pretty much guarantee that there are probably 28, 29 other teams that would not hesitate to go ahead and take Josh Allen. Roy, good afternoon. Welcome back to the chat. Welcome, Brendan Holland or Brandon Hallam. Don't want to mispronounce your name. I can read it. It's right in front of me. Just a fan. Welcome. Glad you are back. So again, I've gone off on a tangent about Stephon Diggs, but Stephon Diggs had two quarterbacks who are highly respected and well regarded in the NFL, and he couldn't make it work with either one of them. So now he's going to go to CJ Stroud, and he's going to try to make it work there. And like I said, the only way that it works is if Stephon Diggs somehow grows some sense of self-realization, understanding Stephon Diggs is the problem. It's not everybody else. Stephon Diggs would bellyache and moan when Josh Allen wouldn't throw him the ball, and then sometimes Josh Allen would throw it to him when he was wide open and he wouldn't come down with it. And then obviously you're moaning over what type of pass it was. It wasn't perfect, right? It only hit 4 of my fingers. It didn't hit 5. Things of this nature. So addition by subtraction with the Bills, but possibly subtraction by addition with the Texans. So anyway, that was, we were talking about the running back list, and all I can say is at least Jahmyr Gibbs, the electrician, is in the top 10. That's all I can say. I don't agree with him having more pressure on his shoulders as a running back being drafted number 12 than Bijan Robinson, who was also a running back, who was drafted at number 8. Last time I checked, 8 was higher than 12 in the draft order. All right. So there's that. And then with the receiver list, they fixed their previously ridiculous transgression of putting the 19th receiver over the 3rd receiver, right? If you guys don't know, in the top 25 players over or under 25, PFF ridiculously graded Garrett Wilson 2 spots above Amon-Ra St. Brown. And in that particular list, they said that Garrett Wilson was the 19th best receiver. He was the 19th best. And Amon-Ra St. Brown was the third best. But somehow, some way, 19th best is better than third best. And I don't know how this happens. I don't know. We said somehow, some way. What, how, and what way? I can't really tell you. I have no clue. But that's what they said. But this time around, with the overall receivers, okay, because this is different, right? This is different. A receiver who is the same age as you can be better than you within the same age group, but he can't be better than you when we extrapolate it all out to all of the receivers in the NFL. That's PFF logic. That is PFF logic. Let me say that again. A receiver who is the same age as you is better than you when you're talking about your own age group. But when you're talking about all of the age groups, which is all of the receivers in the NFL, he's not better than you. I don't know how that works. Make it make sense if you can. I can't. Brandon Hollum says the NFL and PFF are all over the Jets sack. I guess, but like I said, they corrected it. And they said this time around that I believe Amon-Ra St. Brown was the 7th best receiver in the league. Obviously above him were Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, AJ Brown, Devontae Adams, and some others, a couple of others. I forget the list, but Garrett Wilson was nowhere to be found above Amon-Ra St. Brown, which he shouldn't be, which he should not be. I don't understand how that works. Because they said in the other list, top 25 players under the age of 25, that even with his quarterback situation that he went through last season, Garrett Wilson, with Aaron Rodgers, tearing his Achilles on like the third snap from scrimmage, even with that, he was still the 19th receiver. And his PFF grade, which they go on, has never been higher than Amon-Ra St. Brown's. He was about 10 points off of Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think his or actually more than 10, maybe, because I believe Amon-Ra St. Brown's was, or maybe it was, I think it was 90.3 or 90.6, something like that. And Garrett Wilson's was like 81.3. So around 9 points off. Look, man, PFF, they do things. I don't understand how they're so well respected. Maybe in the beginning when PFF came out, they were a reliable source, but they just seem right now, because I'm currently following them on Twitter or X, however you want to say it. And I wasn't before, but I feel like they're just really clickbaity right now because these lists don't make any sense. But let's get to PFF is pro flannel focus. It's just a fact says pro flannel focus. If you guys don't know who Flannel is, you have to watch Woodward Sports. Flannel Sam is this guy that's just all over the place. He hates all good players, and he loves Patrick Mahomes. That's pretty much it. Well, Aiden Hutchinson, because look, Flannel Sam is from Chicago. Did he go to the University of Michigan? They call him a Walmart Wolverine, so I don't even think he went to the University of Michigan. So he's from Chicago. He's somehow a Michigan Wolverines fan. He loves Aiden Hutchinson. He doesn't love James Houston. He doesn't love like too many of our. He hates J-Mo. He hates him. He hates Jameson Williams. But he did have a tweet apologizing for his insolence, where he's trying to get back in the good graces of JMO. But this is the guy that we're talking about when we say Flannel Sam or Flannel. All right. Roy says Garrett ranked 43. Amon-Ra was 4. Which list is that? I'm not sure. This is a PFF grade. Roy Wilson 72.9, 92.9. Yeah, see, I mean, they're not even consistent with their stuff, because they said that Wilson was like 81.3 or 9 or something like that for the last 2 years. And clearly, if he's 72.9, that's a lot lower than what they said. So again, as I said, PFF is very clickbaity, but the ridiculous hot takes that they have are so fun to talk about. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about those things. Let's get to that quarterback list where we were talking about all of the quarterbacks. Now, I did say that they did tiers, and I was in tiers to find out what these tiers were. You like that wordplay there? You see what I did there? So there is a Mahomes tier. I understand Mahomes is in a class of his own. So Mahomes got a tier. There's a Mahomes tier. And obviously we don't have to talk about Mahomes. We know what Mahomes does. We know who Mahomes is. I think Mahomes is the GOAT, as in GOTE. Not GOAT, GOTE, which is the greatest of this era, right? The greatest of this era. I still have Tom Brady as the GOAT, greatest of all time. And how could you disagree with Patrick Mahomes being the greatest of this era? Got 3 Super Bowls. I think he's started for 5 years, 3 Super Bowls, 2 back-to-back. He's coming off of back-to-back Super Bowl victories. So, yes, Patrick Mahomes is in a class of his own, and even though he had a down year last year, he's still won Super Bowl. But for Lions fans, context, Jared Goff's stats were better than Patrick Mahomes' stats last season. And Patrick Mahomes is still 0-2 versus Jared Goff. So Jared Goff is like LeVar Ball. Undefeated. Never lost when it comes to Patrick Mahomes. All right. So Patrick Mahomes is in a tier of his own. Then tier number 2 is the elite. Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen. I've got problems with that, bro. I've got problems with that. Why is Joe Burrow in the elite tier? Why is he? Joe Burrow is very good. I don't understand why he's in the elite tier, though. If you're telling me that the elite quarterbacks are only because we can't say that Mahomes is elite because we have to use another word that goes beyond elite. We would say that Mahomes is stratospheric or something like that. Joe Burrow. Does anybody believe in the chat? Does anybody believe that Joe Burrow is elite? And if you believe he's elite, tell me why you think he is elite. Because I'm not going to say he's bad. I'm not going to say he's a bum. I'm going to say he's a very, very good quarterback. But is he elite, though? I don't know about that. I think elite is aggressive. I personally believe that elite is aggressive for Joe Burrow. He's elite. What does the E stand for? He's elite, says Justifan. And the reason that I can tell you that I don't believe he's elite is because what's that dude's name? Jake Browning. Didn't he almost drag that team to the playoffs? When Joe Burrow was out for the entire year, Jake Browning almost got that team to the playoffs. So, but then, okay, I can't really use that argument. I can't use that argument because if I'm using that argument, I'm being hypocritical because Scottie Pippen got the Bulls, was it almost to the finals when Michael Jordan left. So I'm not going to use that argument. But I just don't think that Joe Burrow is elite. I'm sorry. Now the Lamar Jackson, there is so much Lamar Jackson hate, and I think that Lamar Jackson suffers from the same thing that Jared Goff suffers from, but then I don't understand how he suffers from it because he is a two-time unanimous MVP. Now, why do I say two-time unanimous MVP? Because the one guy this last year that voted against him was a Buffalo guy, and he voted for Josh Allen. And basically he said something to the effect of like, I couldn't not vote for Josh Allen as a Buffalo beat reporter or whatever it is. He needs to have his vote stripped. Because you don't vote for, so like everybody that has a vote would just simply vote for the quarterback in their market. And then the quarterback that has the most voters in the market would then wind up winning. That's not how you vote for the MVP. You don't vote for an MVP. You don't give an MVP vote to a guy just because he's on the team that you cover. That makes absolutely no sense. And the fact that he came out and said that, and he was comfortable enough to come out and say that, is ridiculous. Right. So Roy says Lamar Jackson is damn near Mahomes territory. In my opinion, that dude is insane. So what I think Lamar Jackson suffers from is the Bill Polian thing. In the beginning of it, before he even got drafted, and when he was saying the dude needs to switch to wide receiver or running back and all this other stuff, Lamar Jackson, his rookie season, saved his coach's job because it was a team going nowhere, and Lamar Jackson was inserted into the starting lineup, and instantly they were playoff contenders. Lamar Jackson was so good, even though people were saying that he couldn't pass the football. He was so good that Miami had this crazy idea to disrupt Lamar Jackson, and that was to zero blitz him the entire game. And it worked that one time. Why did it work that one time? Because he had never seen a team zero blitz him for the entire game. And they figured if you zero blitz him, you don't give him a chance to find any of his bum ass receivers because he didn't have good receivers in the beginning of his career. Why does he have Mark Andrews? Why is he his favorite target? Because he really didn't have people his first couple of years. They just started getting him receivers. Zay Flowers was the receiver that they drafted in the first round. They signed an Odell Beckham who was pretty much a net negative. He is not the Odell Beckham of three-finger catch fame. He's not him anymore because of the injuries. Does he still have skills? Yes. But is he still the same player? No. Because the injuries have robbed him of some explosiveness, some of his quickness, and things of this nature. And then We're blaming Lamar Jackson for the AFC Championship loss, in which Todd Monken called 6 running plays. If your offense has been riding on the rushing attack, obviously Lamar Jackson, I think, had 15 rushing touchdowns or something like that last season. So obviously he's a large part of your running game. You're calling design runs. You're mixing it up. It was a very balanced offense. And you take away all the balance. Why would you do that? So that was a bad coaching decision, in my opinion. And then let's not forget that Zay Flowers fumbled on the 1-yard line. They were going in to tie the game, and Zay Flowers fumbled. So I believe that Lamar Jackson suffers from the same thing that Jared Goff is suffering from, which is there was a narrative attached to him at the beginning of his career, even before the beginning of his career, right? Before he got drafted, there was a narrative attached to him. And even though he's won 2 MVPs, he just can't shake that narrative. People just look at him and they're like, oh, he's not a quarterback, he's a running back. But they won't look at his passer rating. They won't look at his stats. They won't look at his accuracy. They won't look at the improvement. They just want to say that he is a running back. And Jared Goff is the same way. He's one of the only quarterbacks to take 2 teams to an NFC Championship games. But because he got this label put on him as garbage when he was jettisoned out of LA by Sean McVay, that's what people see. People don't see that he had 2 running backs last season. Jahmyr Gibbs rushed for 945 yards. 945. He was 55 off of 1,000. Monty rushed for over 1,000 yards. Jared Goff still threw for 4,500 yards. You had a running game which generated almost 2,000 yards, and you still threw for 4,500. I don't know. He's not very good, I guess. Goff versus Lamar Super Bowl this year. I would love to not see that. Roy says Lamar Jackson could take Michigan State's roster to the NFL playoffs. That's a bit aggressive. Michigan State's roster is bad. Well, I guess this year they've been attacking the transfer portal and all those things. So, yeah. I don't think Joe Burrow should be in the elite tier. I don't have a problem with Josh Allen being in the elite tier. Tier 3, postseason caliber QBs. Here is the thing. Postseason caliber QBs. So the number 5 quarterback in the NFL and the number 1 quarterback in the postseason caliber QBs is Justin Herbert of the Los Angeles Chargers. This is the same quarterback. I understand we're going to say Brandon Staley. This is the same quarterback who could not take a team who was gifted 3 interceptions by Trevor Lawrence in the playoffs to win that game. Justin Herbert could not put the team on his back offensively enough to win a game in which his team was gifted 3 additional possessions because Trevor Lawrence looked awful in the first half of that game. Wasn't it like 28-0 at halftime? 28-0. Justin Herbert's number 5. Dak Prescott is number 6. Dak Prescott in the tier 3 postseason caliber QBs. Let's read what Dak Prescott, what is his explanation for Dak Prescott? It's a shame that Prescott's final game of the 2023 season, a playoff loss to Green Bay, was as big of a disaster as it was, because to that point, his 2023-2024 campaign was special. His 89.8 passing grade in the regular season ranked second only to Tua Tagovailoa. His 73.5 passing grade under pressure was number 1. His 37 big-time throws in the regular season were the most in the NFL, and his 2.0% turnover-worthy play rate was the lowest among quarterbacks, with at least 400 dropbacks. Prescott was efficient, aggressive, and accurate, albeit with a poor showing to end the year. But who did they play, though? And every time Dak Prescott went up against a quote-unquote formidable opponent, he lost. He generated 10 points against the 49ers. I don't care what you say about the amount of points that they put up against the Packers. That game was over. Like at the end of the first quarter, that game was over. So whatever they came up with, I think it was like 48 to 20 something or whatever. I don't remember the score. But that game was over already. It was over. Dak Prescott threw like 2 pick sixes. It was over. I don't care what they did in garbage time when Green Bay was just relaxing, playing prevent. Like, we just want to get out of here and make sure everyone's healthy for next week. So I don't count anything that he did once that game was like out of reach. He played Jared Goff and the Lions. Now, while Jared Goff did not have a great game in that game, we still won. Dak Prescott was gifted a non-safety because he should have been sacked in the end zone. Unfortunately, Derek Barnes closed his eyes and fell asleep. I don't know how you fall asleep in the middle of a play. I know Barry Sanders, shout out to my football father. Barry Sanders would take naps on the bench. Derek Barnes took a nap on the field mid-play while he was running towards Dak Prescott in the end zone for a sure safety. And then on the same play, Kendall Vildor fell down, and 10 seconds later, it was a 90-plus yard touchdown to CeeDee Lamb. All those things had to go right for Dak Prescott to throw that touchdown pass to a wide open wide receiver. David Barton says Barnes whiffed. That was more than whiffing. That was sleeping. So Justin Fan says rating based on quote, he has a high ceiling is stupid. You rate players on who they are or what they are. You draft or trade sometimes on ceiling potential. I get it. I just like this guy. It's not a rating thing. You shouldn't rate people on I just like this guy. I don't like to predict people's injuries. So I don't say anything about people getting injured. I hope no one gets injured. I mean, it's a fact of the game. It's a 100% injury guarantee. But you guys have to remember, the last time Lamar Jackson got injured, he was in the pocket. He was not scrambling. He was not running around. Lamar Jackson doesn't take big hits in the middle of the field. Right? Lamar Jackson doesn't take huge hits now. He's taking some hits. But he's not a Cam Newton. Right? He's not taking those types of shots. Matthew Stafford is right behind Dak Prescott, which is consistent with where he was yesterday. Remember, we did this yesterday about the NFC. Dak Prescott was number 1 in the NFC, and Matthew Stafford was number 2 in the NFC, and both of them were over Jalen Hurts, which I did not understand. Aaron Rodgers is number 8 in the New York Jets. Aaron Rodgers, I can understand because of who he has been for a very long time. And obviously they expect him to be that once he's back from that torn Achilles. We don't know how much he has left in the tank because we weren't able to see it because he only played 3 snaps. So we don't know. So I can't really complain too much about Aaron Rodgers being at number 8. Jalen Hurts, number 9, Philadelphia Eagles. CJ Stroud is number 10. And that is it for tier number 3, which are what do we say that those were? The postseason caliber quarterbacks. The only person in this list of the postseason caliber quarterbacks that has had success in the postseason is not number 5, Justin Herbert. It is not number 6, Dak Prescott. It is number 7, Matthew Stafford. And as I said, Jaquiski Tart is still surprised that Matthew Stafford threw a pass directly to him to send the 49ers to the Super Bowl against Joe Burrow, who is apparently elite, and the Cincinnati Bengals. He was so surprised that he dropped the pass and he dropped out of the league, and he's still surprised today. He's just very surprised. All right. So the next tier is called Tier 4, the melting pot of starters. And you already know who is in that tier. One Jared Goff is in the melting pot of starters. Jared Goff is not elite. I'm not going to tell you he's elite, but he's apparently not a postseason caliber quarterback. According to Trevor Sikkema, Jared Goff is not a postseason caliber quarterback. That's what Trevor Sikkema says. David Barton says, I'm surprised I'm not on any of these lists. I'm surprised too. So the first quarterback in the melting pot of starters is Jordan Love. Now, listen to what he says about Jordan Love. And this is going back to what I said yesterday. It says Love let it rip in 2023. He was a top 10 quarterback in total passing yards, a top 5 quarterback in big time throws, and a top 2 quarterback in passing touchdowns during the regular season. But even more impressive than the raw season numbers was the context of the second half of the year. From week 8 on, Love earned an elite 90.4 passing grade with 27 big time throws and just 10 turnover worthy plays. His play was elite down the stretch and into the playoffs. He struggled with accuracy and consistent ball placement in the first half of the season, but was on fire in the second half. If how Love ended the year is closer to what we can expect of him moving forward, he will ascend this list very quickly. What if it's not? That's my question. What if it is not? What if the first half of the season is closer to what Jordan Love is than the second half of the season? What if that's the case? I don't understand, Trevor. I don't understand. And I would tell you to explain yourself, which, like I said, shout out to the heavies. He will be on the heavyweights, Woodward heavyweights, from 5 to 7 p.m. tomorrow. And if you aren't tuning in to them already, go ahead and tune in tomorrow. Like I said, they finish at 7 o'clock. I start at 8. The reason I start at 8 is because I don't want to try to compete with the heavies. They have an excellent show, and I like to watch it. How are we going to discount the entire first half of the season and then just say, well, like, what if, though? What if? Follow, come on, walk with me now. What if this is who he is? What if it's closer to the second half of the season than the first half of the season? But what if it's not? What if it's in the middle? What if the first half of the season is what you can expect? What if? How do you put someone in a certain spot on a ranking list with a what if? If you're talking about passing grades and completion and accuracy and all this other stuff, man, just if you're doing it on this season, put it all together. Put it all in the same pot and mix it up and drop Jordan Love to like number 17. Why not do that? Why raise him to number 11 just out of the top 10? You're saying he's just out of the top 10 off of 1/2 of a season. That is asinine. That makes no sense. How? 1/2 of a season. How? Like, I don't understand. 1/2 of a season, bro. Disregarding not just 1/2 of a season, but disregarding the first half of the season, which was awful. It was awful. We went into Lambeau Field and beat his ass. And now you're sitting up here saying that, hey, that game didn't count. That other game, 1 through 8, those games didn't count, bro. They didn't count. Because we got to put him number 11. We got to put him just outside of the top 10. I don't get it. I don't understand. Right behind Jordan Love is Trevor Lawrence. What do we have to say about Trevor Lawrence? Lawrence has shown us flashes and even extended periods of brilliance, but I continue to want more consistent high-level play before vaulting him into the top 10. Which he is capable of. He ranked in the top 5 in big time throws, 33, but also in turnover worthy plays, 24, with 21 total turnovers on the year. Bro, 21 turnovers is wild. 21 turnovers. David Barton says Trevor sucked for 7 games last year, just like Jordan Love sucked for a half a season almost. Jordan Love sucked for the first 9 weeks of the season. Trevor Lawrence sucked for 7 weeks. But somehow, if you're going on the scale of suctitude, pause, Trevor Lawrence not being good for less games puts him behind Jordan Love, who was not good for more games. I am a person that understands just basic math, okay? I don't understand trigonometry, calculus, all that other stuff. I have a funny story about algebra. I was not great at algebra in school, but someone asked me to tutor them, and I needed money, and all of a sudden, I understood algebra. It was crazy. It's crazy what money will do. 9 is more than 7. Basic math. Okay? David Barton says, I only have 5 turnovers last year. And you can find turnovers in this illustrious kitchen. All right? We got apple turnovers. We got, whatever. All right. Busty Buster Bust says, just the fan. But here's, okay. If we're saying that Trevor Lawrence was worse for less games, and then we're basing this off of last season, if he was worse for less games than Jordan Love, then there is no way. Cherry is my favorite. Cherry is my favorite fruit. There's no way that Jordan Love should be over Trevor Lawrence. And neither one of them should be where they are on this list. Neither one of them should be. Trevor Lawrence was supposed to be the second coming of Andrew Luck. And Andrew Luck was supposed to be the second coming of Peyton Manning. Correct? Right? So if Trevor Lawrence was supposed to be the second coming of a man who was supposed to be the second coming of Peyton Manning, wouldn't Trevor Lawrence be the third coming of Peyton Manning? Isn't that how that works? I don't know. But Trevor Lawrence is nowhere near Peyton Manning. Trevor Lawrence has nowhere near lived up to what he was supposed to be. And Trevor Lawrence came to Detroit and got stomped. He got stomped. Didn't we beat them like 42 to something? 42-21, something like that. It was crazy. And this was that season where we didn't make the playoffs. But this was part of that second half of the season when we went 8-2. Trevor Lawrence being where he is on the list doesn't make any sense to me. Brock Purdy's number 13. I mean, this is a man that took a team. Now, he has one of the most stacked teams in the NFL. We don't really know what Brock Purdy is. No one really seems. There are people that are behind Brock Purdy. There are people that are not behind Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy is very polarizing. And again, we're looking at Brock Purdy as Mr. Irrelevant. And we're saying, I don't know about this guy. Is he an average quarterback? Probably. Does he fit what the San Francisco 49ers do? Definitely. Is he a system quarterback? Well, most people are system players. That's why you have the elite of the elite. That's why you have people like Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson. Because no matter what system they are in, they thrive. Josh Allen has had multiple offensive coordinators. Lamar Jackson has had multiple offensive coordinators. Patrick Mahomes hasn't. But we know Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes, and he's going to do Patrick Mahomes things. The only thing that you have to let Patrick Mahomes do, and this is what Andy Reid does. And if they ever were to get, obviously, Andy Reid is probably not going to coach for Patrick Mahomes' entire career. And when they get a new coach, and when he decides to hang it up, and they get a new coach, the only thing that you have to do is allow Patrick Mahomes to be Patrick Mahomes. This was the problem with, what was his name? Bobby Ross. When Bobby Ross was made the head coach of the Detroit Lions, he came in and tried to change the way that Barry Sanders, because it's sometimes people, it's just about that person. It was about Bobby Ross. It wasn't about common sense. It wasn't about, hey, I have the greatest running back of all time. I'm just going to let you, if I'm making any changes, it's not going to be to what you're doing. It's going to be to what everybody else is doing. Barry, you're fine. You just be Barry. You do Barry things. What do you want, Barry? I'm here for you. What do you want? You don't want a fullback? I don't even know what a fullback is. Does anybody know what a fullback is? Who said fullback? Somebody need to be fired. Who said fullback? Did somebody say fullback, Barry? Somebody said that to you? Those two words? I don't even know what a fullback is. Anybody know what a fullback is? That should have been Bobby Ross. And that's what has to be the coach, the new coach of the Kansas City Chiefs, or the new offensive coordinator. I mean, again, okay, so I can't say that he hasn't had multiple offensive coordinators. Obviously, he has, but the system has not changed because it's Andy Reid's system, and the offensive coordinator in Kansas City doesn't matter. He doesn't matter. Okay? He just doesn't. All right. David Barton says he'll make a good fullback, 6'2", 235. Just a bit too old. Trevor Lawrence has gifts, but he hasn't put it together yet. You are correct. If a train is Justin Fan is trying to give me math problems. Justin Fan, he made Barry Sanders hate football. Correct, because his ego was too large to. I mean, this is why a lot of people aren't successful in life, because they have large egos. Right? And you can't figure out that it's not all about you. You can't figure out that you're not the main character. If you work well with others, especially as a coach, that is what gets you to places. I don't think Bobby Ross got too many more opportunities after being the head coach of the Detroit Lions and running the greatest running back in NFL history out of town. Not really out of town, but into retirement. So I'll block for Gibbs. Sign me up. I want to see more of Monty and Gibbs in the backfield at the same time. That's what I want to see. Monty and Gibbs in the backfield at the same time, with Amon-Ra St. Brown on the left or right, and J-Mo, just basically out wide. Amon-Ra St. Brown out wide with J-Mo. And a Sam Laporta as the tight end. What are you doing with that? I don't know. Good luck. Good luck. If you got all those weapons on the field at the same time, good luck to you. I don't know what you're going to do with that. But before we get out of here, we're going to get to who we need to get to and then get to golf. Number 14 is Tua. Number 15 is Kirk Cousins. And we know that Kirk Cousins yesterday was number 6 in the NFC, and Goff was number 7 in the NFC. And they did not deviate from that. Kirk Cousins is 15 and Goff is 17. Now, here's the reason that Goff is so far down on this list. He is dead center. He is the middle quarterback. He is Malcolm in the middle. But it's Jared in the middle in this situation. It says, for as much as Goff was already an efficient in-structure quarterback, he took that to an even higher level last season. His 85.2 passing grade in 2023 was the highest of his career. His 3.4% big-time throw percentage was his highest single-season number since the Rams days, and his 2.4% turnover-worthy play percentage was a career low. Dak had a 2% turnover-worthy what is this Play percentage. Dak had 2%. Jared Goff was 2.4%. Dak was number 6. Jared Goff is number 16. Okay? Unfortunately, now this is what we're not holding an entire first half of this season against Jordan Love. We're not holding that against Jordan Love. We're saying if you extrapolate out the second half of the season, Jordan Love is a freaking monster. That's what we're saying about Jordan Love. But with Jared Goff, unfortunately, Goff's play under pressure and outside of structure continues to leave a lot to be desired when compared to other top NFL quarterbacks. Bro, I like I said, I mean, tune into the heavies tomorrow to figure out what this man is on. I have a few drugs that I believe. I'm not gonna say, right? Because I don't want to get struck down by YouTube. But there's some things. Well, I don't know what it means, just a fan. I don't know. I am clueless as to what that means. So we're saying that because we perceive him to play poorly under pressure without any numbers, it didn't give any numbers. They give numbers to back up everything, but this one they didn't give any numbers for. And out of structure plays, he's not a scrambler. He doesn't extend the play like a Lamar Jackson or a Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes. Well, he's not elite. He's not elite, so we can't expect him to do the things that elite quarterbacks do. But is he number 16? No. Not at all. Number 16? There are 15 quarterbacks better than Jared Goff. Tua is a better quarterback than Jared Goff. And Josh Purdy is a better quarterback than Jared Goff. Trevor Lawrence is a better quarterback than Jared Goff. Like, what has Trevor Lawrence done? What has he done in the league? And he's had opportunities, but what has he done? If not for a defense that couldn't somehow make adjustments in the second half, and a quarterback who couldn't move the offense enough in the second half. If not for those things, our only postseason memory of Trevor Lawrence is him throwing 3 interceptions in the first half to put that game way out of reach, to go in to halftime trailing 28-0 because he had thrown 3 first half interceptions and losing the game. And guess what happened? Brandon Staley somehow didn't get fired after that season. He got fired after this season, but didn't get fired after that one. Got fired after this one because the Chargers didn't even make the playoffs. Trevor tied my shoes. Listen, man. This Trevor Sycamore and this PFF, I don't know. I mean, it's fun to talk about, man. It's fun to talk about because it makes absolutely no sense. You know, it's fun to talk about. But at the end of the day, guys, that is all the time I have for today. Make sure that you have smashed that like button. Make sure that you have shared. And I know you're subscribed already. And if you know some new subscribers that want to come on over and join us in this illustrious kitchen, We got apple turnovers. We got cherry turnovers. We got apricot turnovers. We got all the turnovers because we're talking about Trevor Lawrence and his 21 turnovers. 21 turnovers and you're over any quarterback, bro. That's wild. But anyway, like I said, that is all the time that I have for today. Big shout out to Streamlabs, man, because Streamlabs, and I need to get a sponsorship for Streamlabs. Before Streamlabs, my stream wasn't great. It was buffering, it was stopping, it was sputtering. But after Streamlabs, we don't have any of those technical difficulties that we had before. Streamlabs at a website near you. Anyway, that's it. That's all I got for today, guys. Again, appreciate everyone for coming and hanging out. Appreciate everybody. Paul Thomas, I appreciate you making it, man. You made it, but you know, I gotta go. All right, guys. That's it. Once again, as always, until next time, peace.